2020 is going to be another huge tipping point. And I don't say that for the obvious reasons of it's a world pandemic, but it's because we're being forced now into certain directions that I believed we should have been headed prior. So first off, if you're here, you understand that I see huge value and believe that the data and all the social sciences and all the other science show that there's huge value in embracing the team approach to patient success. Not only in physical therapy and everywhere in healthcare, but probably mostly physios here, so I talk about it in the physio work. So I've embraced this for a long time. I've embraced this for probably over 11 years, 12 years, and you guys know the story of how it all started. And so that's where all my emphasis has been, that's where all my work has been. And I will be honest, I've waited for a lot of the data and the research to catch up with all this. Right? I had an idea, I had a belief, I had no way to prove it outside of my own little world and some of the individual people I worked with. So here we are now in 2020, and you know, I talk a lot about the tipping points of my career, in my education, in my learning, and my knowledge building. And 2020 is going to be another huge tipping point. And I don't say that for the obvious reasons of it's a world pandemic, but it's because we're being forced now into certain directions that I believed we should have been headed prior when it comes to healthcare and taking care of people. And we're being forced down those avenues. So now we're being forced into these social studies, and we will have data now on what it means when people are addressed and access on their terms, more in their terms, right? And that's what this is always about, is it's been about making it about the patient first. So what are the terms they need? Well, let's face it, if it wasn't for COVID, 99.9% of you wouldn't be on telehealth because it doesn't fit your needs. Yet it fit patients' needs far before, yet nobody in healthcare wanted to push it. Nobody in healthcare wanted to get out of their comfort zone and do anything different, because regardless of all the talk and all the rhetoric and everything we read everywhere, it was still easiest to get up every morning and get paid for fee-for-service in healthcare. Can we just acknowledge that? 2 minutes in, I think it'll make it easier on everybody if we do that. So again, we're at a tipping point because we're going to be forced to go in a direction that I call, which is going to be more patient-focused and more patient-directed. You know, that's part of what this virtual front desk is all about, and it's always been about what the front desk was about. So let me give you two parts of history here on this. One is the understanding of the front desk and their role. In healthcare, we totally mashed it up. My partner in this venture and some other stuff I've done, Todd Wickstrom, always put this best. The front desk of healthcare practices is the junk drawer of your house. And that always stuck with me the first time he said it. I said, yeah, because the front desk, nobody really knows what they should do or need to do. We find things for them to do. I know I need someone to greet the patients. I know I need someone to pick up the phone. And then why don't I dump all this other shit on top of them? And remember, I've been dealing with my own business and other businesses now for years and years and years. And this is always the feeling, because the first thing I do when someone engages me, I say, let's sit down and let's look at, and I'm doing this afternoon with a new customer. First thing we're going to do, I want a list of all the tasks your front desk are responsible for. And I'll get a list a mile long. And then I'll say, who's responsible for that? And they'll go, everyone. So it's pretty interesting. You look at this list of tasks. I'm like, daily, weekly, monthly? Yeah. Who's responsible? Everyone. And I'm like, a clear sign, right? A clear sign that nobody knows in the business what the fuck to do with these people. And by what to do with them, meaning they don't know how to leverage them. They don't know where their greatest value is, right? Checking insurance benefits can be outsourced. All kinds of people doing that. So to tell me that's important in a patient's journey, I would agree. And it's a waste of time of your employees and your front desk team, because you can get insurance benefits checked and verified at a far lower cost than what you're now paying someone to do that, because you don't know what else to do. I've said this before. When you look at this, these job postings, and like in this list of 20 things they'll be responsible for, there's always and answer the phone and help people get scheduled. And it's always buried in there. And I'm like, so what are the most important tasks? That's everything I like to do with new clients also. Things get hectic quick. And I say, so what are the priorities of this? And they really, they start hemming and hawing. And I'm like, there's only one priority of your front desk. It's to be the entry point to the business. And so we're back to, there are two roles for your front desk. There's the entry point salesperson of the front desk who's responsible for managing potential new clients, new customers through phase 2 of the patient life cycle. They take ownership of these people. They do all these things I've been preaching about here and for years and years and years to set the providers up for success, to set the patients up for success, and to set the business up for success. That's role number 1. Role number 2 is this other person I was describing. This person who needs to check benefits, who needs to do prior auth, who does all these callbacks. So step 1 of this genesis of this virtual front desk sales associate was understanding the power, the leverage, the true power of this front desk role, and understanding there are 2 roles here. That's why I hate the term front desk, and that's why it says front desk sales associate. Eventually, once everybody gets past this front desk term, it's going to say virtual sales associate. It's that simple, because front desk is really the face of the company, and there's a huge role for them, right? You need a face of the company, someone that helps the patients that are in the clinic, right? Greets the patients, helps the patients, supports the providers, does all that stuff. And then there's this other role, right? There is this sales associate person, which really we probably need to take out of the front desk terminology altogether. This is the person that is the most misunderstood, most underleveraged, most devalued and undervalued role in your company. And the way I say in your company is because they're there, you're not using them. Because you hired a front desk person and you gave them a list of tasks. And task 38 was answer the phone and help people get scheduled. So that's number 1 of how this all came together. And then it's interesting, the second part of this is, again, a bigger piece of how I got here. It's interesting, and I say this just for the context so you know how long this has been going on and building this out. About 8 years ago, I put together a company. And it was basically the same thing. It was a remote, off-site. So think about today's environment and me trying to roll this idea out 8 years ago. That's why it took 8 years to do it. So I put a company together, and it was all outside of healthcare. There was only one other healthcare person in the group, and there were like 7 of us. And they were entrepreneurs and business owners, and I love where they came. Their backgrounds were collection companies, call center managers. The people I knew who I needed to create a business that could be successful in the role I just described to you, a virtual front desk sales associate. And I put this group together, and we met, and we did all our paperwork, and we met, and about a year later, I killed the whole group. I said, thank you for your time, and I sent everybody along their way because I couldn't get one physio on the face of the earth to have a conversation with me about the value of this sales associate who would take all your incoming calls. Now, mind you, think about 8 years ago in the climate, right? It was all in network, 99.9%, with very low copays, very low deductibles. And so people were, let's get back to the beginning of this, people got comfortable with status quo. The same people who would get in front of groups at our national conferences or write articles in magazines about how all these things need to change. And yet every day they were creating bigger and bigger products reinforcing the current model. The fee for schedule. Come to my clinic. It's my time. It's my energy. It's my money spent. I have such a great value to you. You must give in to all these requests and come to my clinic. Right? Now we're talking about telehealth too. I couldn't get anybody, so I broke this thing up. And this has always been probably a top 3 priority of mine. No matter what the conversation was, it was always around this, back to number 1, is this misunderstanding of the dual role of this front desk. And you guys have seen it in all my content. If you go back and watch any of the content, I always talk more, greater than 51% of the time, about this sales component of the front desk. Think about it. Go back and watch any video. Go back 1 week, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And listen to what I'm saying about the front desk. It is about the sales role. And I rolled out a few weeks ago the 7 attributes or the mindset of a successful front desk person, and that was the sales associate person.